York, Philadelphia, Chicago.
So here's a shell that I have in an Alcoa diesel that I'm going to restore into a Northern Pacific 492. We have stripped this one down that was in pretty bad shape, and now I'm going to restore it, and when we're done we're going to end up with something like this, the main street of the Northwest. And I'm going to eventually do all the cars, all the engines, and I'll take you through the steps as we do this. Okay, I'm going to mask this out so we can start painting it. What I've done here is I've cut little pieces of the blue tape. I fold the end over so it's easier to pick off, and then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to tape off all the holes in here so I don't get any overspray on the inside of the shell. So we'll do the portals, we'll do everything that could possibly let any overspray in. We'll cut that. Next step in doing my Northern Pacific is I'm going to do the dark green, and I'm taping out the bottom so I can mask over the light green and spray the top. So this is how I do the taping.
Fran, I noticed you're using a different type of tape other than blue painter's tape. What type of tape is that?
I have a really hard time saying the name, but I'll show you a picture of it.
I've heard of that tape. I've heard it's much better than the blue painter's tape.
It is much better. It sticks really well to the paint, but it does not pull the paint like the blue painter's tape did. So I've done a little pre-taping here just to cut down on the amount of time that would be on the screen, on screen time. And since I already did this first unit with the line, I had measured the line and realized that it was exact match. If I took two of these pieces of white tape and laid them side by side, I could actually then go in and put my yellow masking tape in extremely easy, not worry about having to measure, and get the same distance that I wanted to match the original shell I did. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and retape this yellow tape, and then we'll do some measuring, and then we'll do some cutting, and then we'll do the front end. So this makes it quite easy because I can just follow this white tape as closely as I can. I mean, if there's a little variation, nobody's gonna know. So I want to try to get this right down on top of that edge of that white tape, just like that. And I'm going to cut this, fold it over, and I'll pull up the white tape, and there's our gap for the white paint. Okay, now that we have this upper piece of masking tape in, I went in and made some measurements from the existing shell I already did, from this point to that point, and then from this point back to there. And I've got my little angle done here. So what I want to do now is that little angle line is 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to go in and put a little mark there so I know where my 1/8 of an inch is. And I'm going to get my X-Acto knife and slice that angle just that little bit. Then I'll go back in and I'm going to pull this tape off to that point, and there we go, we got that angle. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white tape and I'm actually going to do the inside around the nose so I can lay the yellow tape as I did here, using the white tape as my guide. Okay, so here's the white masking tape I'm going to use as my guideline, and here's my point from which I want to go. So I'm going to go from that point directly underneath this lighting unit here, come up and around, then I'm going to go around the front. I'm probably going to cut it here because I'm not sure that I'm going to get the perfect angle, and this will give me time and space to get this where I want it to go, which is more to that angle and around. Okay, now that I have the white, I'll call it, line that I can outline with and use as my guideline, I'm going to do some more of this yellow masking tape, and I'm going to come right down on the outer edge of this white tape, right up to the sign indicator here. And as I'm putting it down, I'm adjusting because I see that the white line is not all the way up against the marker symbol sign, so I'm just adjusting that white line a little bit as I go. Then I'm going to flip this shell up on its edge, and I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to do the underside of the marker so I don't get any white on the underside of the marker. So I got that marked off like that, and now all I have to do is go around the front. So what I did is I took a piece of the yellow and I cut it down a little narrower because it gives me more flexibility to go around curves. And I'm going to lay this right on here, and I'm just going to follow this curve of this tape around and then around the corner and back on the marker. And then I'll come on this side and I'm going to follow the same thing. So since I cut it a little narrower, I can actually stretch the yellow tape to make that corner. So, and again, using my eye, I'm just going to balance that out because I know it's dipping a little bit there. So that should be the front. And then I will go back in and tape off all around it so we don't get any white on this lovely green color. And now what I'll do is go in and pull off my marker tape. And I'll do the same on this side. Of course, it's being a bugger, it won't come up. So there we are. We should be all taped out and the center stripe of the shell ready to go. I'll cover the rest of this and then we'll do some painting. Okay, here we go, some white paint. Okay, so here we are, we got the top uncovered. Now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to start taking off the masking tape, and hopefully when we're all done and have this all peeled off, we're going to have this lovely white stripe around our Northern Pacific. So far so good. I'm liking it. Pull this entire bottom off. See if we can get some of this top off. I have the back totally covered. And I hope I'm not getting my hands in the way of the camera, but this is the way we gotta do it. Spin her around, keep pulling until it breaks off. We'll get another little clip. Come in here and get this little piece. And I think I'm going to use this knife to pick this little ear off and then come straight on back. And there she is. And here's the observation car. We got it all, I got it all taped up just to save some time, so let's put on some stripes. And everything's all painted on the stripe. Hopefully it's going to be right on. Now I'm going to just take off the masking. So just slow and steady. Find a place to stick. How's that look? One last strip. See if we can get it off. I always like to pull it so this edge along the paint peels away from the paint, like that. And there she is. Oh, we got one little piece left. And there's a Northern Pacific observation car fully painted. Now we'll move on to decals.